What's up, everybody? My name is Calais. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about the flight attendant training process, everything about flight attendant training. If you have any questions, comment them down below if I don't go over everything in the video. But without any further ado, we're going to get right into it. So first, all flight attendant trainings are different. It depends on what airline you go to. So this is just specific to the one that I went to. But they're also the same in a way where you have to really learn the same stuff. You're still going to be a flight attendant. You're still going to need to know that emergency information. So this is going to be going over, specific to what I went through, but it also is going to be going over, what's going to happen generally at the flight attendant training. So if you are interested in that video, definitely continue to watch. So first, we're going to go with the training time. Now, training can last anywhere from 4 to 8 weeks, depending on, of course, what airline you go to. I know I'm going to be saying that a lot. But it can last anywhere from 4 to 8 weeks. Mine personally was, I think it was 4 weeks. I think it was 4 weeks. But yeah. Or mine personally was 4 weeks, but I do know other airlines that go up to 8 weeks worth of training. We pretty much learn the same thing. It's just, with the 8 weeks worth of training, you got to learn, you got to think about, you have more aircrafts for some airlines, so you have to learn more different procedures for different aircrafts. You got to go through all that and make sure that your students know that. So you can't just let them go, on a 4-week training and send them out not knowing anything. So you learn a lot of different things in flight attendant training. Some of them, just to be specific, if I look down, I have my notebook right here that goes over everything that I learned. But you learn emergency equipment, aircraft memorization. That means you have to know what aircraft you're flying on whenever you get on that aircraft. And that's pretty difficult, actually, because you have to know how many seats are on this aircraft, how many flight attendants you need for this aircraft, what goes in overhead bins, what emergency equipment is where on the aircraft, so you know where to go when you go and get it. That's probably the hardest part of flight attendant training, is familiarization. For training, you actually get your workbook and things usually sent out to you before you start training, which is good because that gives you time to start studying it instead of trying to remember it in that 4 weeks of time where you're training and learning so much other stuff. If anything, I would suggest to learn your aircraft familiarization first out of everything. And some places actually test you on that first, because I know for our training, ours is in the first week, but for the class before us, theirs is on the first day for their aircraft familiarization training. And I think that is the first and most important thing to learn, because no matter what aircraft you're on, you're going to know where all your emergency equipment is. You're going to know where you have to evacuate, for what kind of evacuation, where to go, where to send people. That is the most important thing to me as far as what you learn in training. You also learn, emergency procedures, which I just went over, and evacuation procedures. You learn things as far like medicals for guests. Flight attendants actually learn a lot of health things as far as emergency procedures, CPR, what you have to do if a person passes out, what you have to do if a person can't breathe, what you do if somebody is freaking out. As a flight attendant, you have to know. As a flight attendant, you have to know all that information. That's what's most important. And lastly, which I think is really pretty much on the bottom of the totem pole, but it's also still important because that's something that you have to do every day, is the service. You learn how to, serve your guests pretty much in training. And that's pretty much everything that you learn. Now, it doesn't sound like a lot, but the thing is, it's so much information. It's a lot of information. I don't want to just list that like in a list of 7 things, because I just took everything and put it into those little bitty categories. But it's so much information that you take in within those 4 to 8 weeks that you have to really make sure that you are paying attention. Now, as far as some tips that I have for how to survive flight attendant training, because like I said, with all that stuff coming at you, you need something that's going to help keep you grounded and help you make sure that you're on the right step. So as far as surviving flight attendant training, my first tip would be to stay focused. Now, when I say that staying focused is the first thing, a lot of people, a lot of people, myself included, which sucked, but a lot of people, they miss their family because you're away for so long. I had people calling me about to me at the time, it was the dumbest thing because I had so much other stuff that I was focused on, where if I was at home, I'll just sit and listen. But I had them calling me about the craziest things, and I'm like, this is not the time or the place for me to talk about this, to get upset about this, to start, you know, to try to figure this stuff out. You have to figure it out because I'm not at home. But staying focused is the most important thing. It also goes as far as not, you know, not talking to your family, as not going out all the time, not a lot of places, you know, that you go for your training. You go to some pretty nice places. Mine was in Florida, my training. They have training in Utah. They have training in Texas. They have training in a lot of good places where if you're like me from Detroit, you can't wait to get there and explore. But that's not what you have to, that's not what there is to think about at the time. What you are focused on at that time is becoming a flight attendant, because even though you got that CJO and you are on your way to being a flight attendant, that same time they can say thank you but no thank you and have a good day, and they can just send you home just like that. They don't have to keep you there. You don't have the job yet. You are in training to get the job and to continue continue on your way to being a flight attendant. My second tip is to form a good study group. Some people are good studying alone. Some people are better studying in groups. I'm the type of person, I will study alone first, and then I'll go to a group to make sure, you know, if there's a different way I can learn it, to keep it in my brain. If there's something else that this person's using to study that I can, you know, take back to studying for myself. Forming a good study group is the best thing, because even then, you know, you find parts that you see things that people struggle on you didn't even think about, and you're like, oh yeah, let me study that. Or you see stuff that some people say came up a lot, you're like, oh yeah, let me write that down. You can help somebody else, you know, as far as memorizing an aircraft. You can help somebody else with doing that, and they can also help you in turn. Instead of, you know, you studying alone, you can study the wrong information by yourself and not even know, because you're alone and there's no one there to check your work or check what, you know, let you know, hey, no, this is wrong, you got to do it this way. And you can go back and forth and make sure that everything is correct, so when you go to class the next day, you are on the right track and you know that everything that you're doing is right. My third thing is to start a good note-taking system. You can always look it up on YouTube. There are so many videos on YouTube, it makes no sense. But you can look up new YouTube videos on how to take notes, because like I said, this is a 4 to 8 week training process. You take in so much information over those days. It's literally, I think our training was 9-hour days, and it was just teaching. We got an hour worth of, you know, an hour for lunch, but it was teaching, and you take in so much information where it's hard to just sit there and remember, you know, what that person said word for word that day. So you have to have a good note-taking system where, you know, you write down what's important. If they repeat it, you underline it. If they say it again, if there's something that they say so many times, you know that that is important. That's kind of my note-taking system. I'm doing too much, sorry. But, you know, find your way of taking notes where you can get down as much information as you can without writing as much, because writing also puts you behind, because then you're listening, trying to write, and then you're not hearing what they're saying, or you throw yourself off and you can't remember what you're supposed to be writing. So a good note-taking system will save your life. And I literally, my note-taking system wasn't the best, but it was good enough. But I still filled up a full notebook and a half a notebook, and I went there with one notebook thinking I was just gonna be good with one notebook. I had to go to Walmart and buy another notebook to fill up, and then I still have free form papers that I had to put in my binder. It's so much information. A good note-taking system will keep you on track. And finally, my fifth tip for surviving flight attendant training is find or make friends. I wouldn't say that's the most important thing, but that's something that can definitely help.